I think that good coders are not people who spend majority of their time writing code. I think that good developers are people who spend majority of time designing, figuring out, and doing all sorts of activities, and then writing code is just chore.
This is DevOps Paradox, episode number 315. Why good developers spend more time designing than coding. Welcome to DevOps Paradox. This is a podcast about random stuff in which we, Darren and Victor, pretend we know what we're talking about. Most of the time, we mask our ignorance by putting the word DevOps everywhere we can and mix it with random buzzwords like Kubernetes, serverless, CI/CD, team productivity, islands of happiness, and other fancy expressions that make us sound like we know what we're doing. Occasionally, we invite guests who do know something, but we do not do that often since they might make us look incompetent. The truth is out there, and there is no way we are going to find it. P.S. It's Darren reading this text and feeling embarrassed that Victor made me do it. Here are your hosts, Darren Pope and Victor Farsick. So in our last episode, we were reviewing my first 24 hours of trying out Cursor and Claude Code. And overall, phenomenal. Enough to make me spend $200 on a Claude Pro subscription for the year. Not month, year. It's like, I'm not willing to do $200 a month yet. I'm not there yet. But then I started talking and thinking about all the silly things with Claude Code that just made me go, this is silly. Like, it's a terminal, and I was like, okay, let me look at the file listing real quick. So I typed in ls, and then all of a sudden it said thinking, and it started burning tokens. I was like, to do a freaking listing of files?
Let me ask you a question. Why did you want to list the files?
Well, it's like I didn't have the editor open at that time. So it's like, what files am I, what path am I in? And I could have done PWD. It had been the same problem.
Where I was going, and I could not get there, is that usually you do those things for a reason, right? I'm going to invent the reason. You would do ls because you want to find a file where there is a function X, right? Usually there is a reason. It's not just listing files.
Correct.
And now if you think in agent terms, you would not say, hey, list the files. No. Where is my function X?
Mm.
Or what is function X doing, right? You need to change the way how you think about those things, right? There is a reason. Explain the reason. Explain what you want to do.
Explain what you want to do. That is a mind shift that I had not thought about. But again, I just screwed up and typed in ls in the terminal window that was open in front of me. And I was burning tokens. I was like, what does that matter? I was like, why are you charging me for something? Like, to me, this is an argument of sort of like on-prem versus cloud, or on-demand compute versus paid compute. I was like, yeah, I messed up, but I guess the argument falls apart there because, I guess if I spin it up, I'm going to have to pay for it.
Yeah. The key is there that why do you care what's in the directory? I'm not saying that you don't care. You care, but then think about what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
And then it becomes helpful. And then you say, okay, actually, those tokens are well spent.
So do I want to do everything inside that Claude Code terminal? I guess we're going to be talking about Claude Code more.
Give me an example.
Let's say that I'm doing let's say I'm just going to run a test suite. Let's say I'm using Maven. Mm-hmm. So I do a Maven clean test or Maven clean verify.
And you're running because there is a chance that some tests will fail, right? Not because you're 100% convinced and you want those tests fixed.
Correct. That sounds good.
Okay. So let's say that it's going to fail. Let's skip for a second the option that it's going to be all successful, right? So what's option number one? Run the test somewhere and then copy and paste the output to Claude Code so that it fixes it, right? Did you save any tokens? Probably not. You just pasted the whole output. You just spent time on it for no good reason. Now, would you have spent tokens for no good reason if all tests were successful? Yes. But the goal is not really to run them because you're convinced that it's successful, right?
Right.
And Claude Code will, in general, so let's go a step further, right? You're running tests most likely because you changed the code. Let me assume that you're not running tests without changing any code, right?
Correct.
So you're changing code with Claude Code. And Claude Code is running your tests. And it's running your tests because it wrote the tests. So Claude Code wrote your code. Claude Code wrote your tests. And it wants to see whether what it wrote works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, it wants to fix the tests that incorrectly wrote. You're not running the tests just for the sake, hey, let me see whether the code that was successfully running tests yesterday is successfully running it today as well.
If as a human you're doing that, you're really doing your job wrong. Because
Exactly.
that's what Jenkins, GitHub Actions, you name it, that's what those tools are for. To always make sure things are always in a good state.
Even if somebody is doubting whether an agent should be writing your code, writing tests. Nobody likes writing tests. There is no person on earth that likes writing tests more than anything else. That's a perfect example of agent. Oh, yeah, I just implemented this. Write the tests. Or if you're funky, write the tests. See them fail. Implement that something.
Okay, you bring up an interesting point of a case that I just saw happen. So I had put in a PR for some changes I made, driven by Claude Code. And I was reviewing the diff inside of GitHub, right on the pull request. And there was, based on how it's configured, it tells me if there's any code coverage or not for a block of code, or it warns me if there's no code coverage.
Yes.
Now that's giving me ideas. It's like, oh wait, go back to the notebook, write it down. We need to create code coverage tests to make sure that this part of the code is covered. I mean, I'm not going for 100% code coverage by any means, but it's calling things out. It's like if I see one thing, it's like it's complaining about a getter. Okay, well, go pound sand. That doesn't matter. But if it's real code, it's like, oh, now I can have it write a test to make sure that's covered, or at least start it up for me so I can start writing the rest of the test.
Yes.
Which is something I would not have. I mean, I would have completely ignored it before. In fact, let me rephrase that. I have completely ignored it in the past. Now I don't think I can.
I go a step further and I have instruction in memory of the projects. The one that is loaded when the session starts. Before writing first line of code, execute tests and record the coverage in this file. And when I say we're done, you're going to execute 57 different tasks. We can discuss later if you want what those tasks are. But in this context, one of those tasks is now record the end coverage in this different file and tell me how the coverage changed. And if it changed that is less covered, we have a problem.
That's interesting. Now, I want to rewind for just a second because you'll be using Claude Code primarily now, correct?
Yes.
Are you putting in a Claude MD in your repositories?
Sometimes when I'm too lazy to set up MCP, yes. But I tend to use memory MCP heavily, just because I'm paranoid. It feels like that I will continue using Claude Code for the time being, and then I might not be so eager to use memory MCP and use Claude MD instead.
So if people listening aren't familiar with Claude MD, because I'm not, I haven't even looked at it yet because I haven't used it. I've just been asking my typical questions.
Whoa. But
I haven't.
When you started Claude Code for the first time, it asks you, do you want to initialize project, right?
Correct. And I never have.
Oh, come on.
Dude, I'm trying to have as little impact on an existing repository as possible because I don't own it. Like for something I own, sure, I'll do that. But these aren't things I own yet. If I can prove that this is good enough, then I can probably peel off one of the projects I'm working on and let's try this. Let's see how this works.
One very interesting file in your repo that you might want to take a look at, and that's git ignore.
Okay.
And just put it there, and then it's not pushed to the repo, right?
Fair enough. Okay. So that's something we didn't talk about that last time. Yeah, I saw the init. I just blew it off. So I guess I need to do that just to see what it looks like.
What init will do is that it will go through your whole project and it will write everything that matters for that project there. And then you can edit it with things that it didn't discover. Oh, we always do TDD. Cool. Right? But project structure, how it's being tested and stuff like that. And then it will be spending less time trying to figure those things out.
Well, that makes too much sense. So I guess what I'll be doing after we're finished recording this is I'll go back and do that for the 2 or 3 that I'm working on right now, just to see what it looks like. I had no idea. The docs for Claude Code are, well, I haven't looked at them. Let's be honest. Other than how to install it, I haven't looked at them. But that's also good, I think, because I haven't had to look at any docs. It just sort of makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. There is no good reason to go through the docs, to be honest, because it tells you everything. Like, if you ever say, hey, can you remember this? It will remember it by storing it in Claude Code MD, but it will tell you at the bottom, if you pay attention, hey, you can use hash sign in the future, right? It basically it guides you in a very subtle way. Another thing that you will discover is, unless you already have slash commands. So you can create MD files, markdown files. One of my slash commands, I'm ignoring now the fact that I use memory, is, hey, when I say we're done, that's how I call it. And that has instructions. Okay, when I say we're done, you push to the Git repo, you commit everything, you create a new branch, you create a pull request, you push there, you calculate test coverage, you wait and analyze the result of GitHub Actions, etc., etc., etc. And then you convert it into command. It says slash, done.
So I saw the slash commands. I've looked at them. The only slash command I've used so far is slash exit. Don't control C out. Do slash exit or slash quit. Be careful with slash log out because then you will get logged out. Now, in order to switch from tokens to my subscription, I had to log out and then log back in.
Yeah.
Because I had to pick. Because you're given the path when you're first setting up Claude Code to pick a subscription or pick tokens. So I had to at least do that, but I shouldn't have to log out anymore unless I lose the handshake. So it sounds like I have a lot more homework to do. That stinks. But it sounds like it's something that I do need to do, and it'll make my life even better. So what else should I be doing with Claude Code that I'm not? Because it still feels like, forget about scratching the surface. I mean, I've barely even cracked open what it can do.
I do a lot of conversations, which I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, conversations with Claude Code. Okay, let's say that performance that you mentioned before in the previous episode, right? I would typically say, okay, can you explain to me the option number 1? Explain to me, and then it would give me normally bullet points, or even better, instead of explain, can we work on a design of this? And then it would come up with questions, and then I would say, okay, let's go through them one by one, right? Oh, okay, how should we do this? And then we talk about it and make a decision. How should we do this? We talk about. So I rarely just go and kind of, hey, I want you to do this, right? I insist on going through the design, right? And questions and so on and so forth. The more of such a conversation I do, the results tend to be better, right? And I ultimately end up much faster.
So with my use cases, which is basically refactoring use cases, do you see any reason why I would need to set up any MCPs at all?
No, you can live without MCPs, really.
That's what I'm thinking, because I don't need memory if I, again, do the init stuff correctly. So, I don't need, I don't think I need Taskmaster either for this scenario.
Think of it this way. MCPs could be useful to make something slightly better. But there are very few cases where it will do something that Claude Code is not already doing. Like, I use memory MCP. Claude Code already has memory, right? I use Taskmaster mainly to record what should be done and go through it. Like, I don't know, there will be 50 tasks for this, right? You can instruct Claude Code and say, okay, create a to-do list as a file. It already does that internally, but kind of, okay, let's create a file with everything we're going to do and talk about it and then modify it and make it a checklist, right? And, done. What's next? This. So there is nothing special with MCPs that you would say, this is life-changing, kind of, I cannot do it with Claude Code. Especially if you are, and you probably are, you have CLIs for the things that you need. Claude Code has access to the tools you need.
That's the black magic behind this right now, is how does it know what tools it needs to use? I mean, it's just, I know it knows. It's just the amazing things of, let me put it this way. If I gave a C-level person, this goes back to, what was it, Shopify or Etsy? It was Etsy, where every C-level had to do a deploy. Mm-hmm. And they had to go and click the button. How much more now could you get a C-level to actually make a legitimate change? A change that then does the deploy. I mean, think about it.
Imagine now to go a step further and you have that Claude MD that really nails down the project and everything related to the project. It specifies exactly how it should be worked on that project. Then anybody, not C-level, kind of like, I don't know, anybody, junior. Just
C-level to bottom. Yeah. Anybody could do it.
Now, there is an art on actually constructing all those things like Claude MD and a few others, right? But if you spend time setting it up, it will know what to do. It will occasionally forget because sessions are some kind of dark magic. But if you don't work, let's say that you have relatively short sessions. Yeah, it will know what to do as long as you explain it what to do, right? Now, don't try to explain it everything. Just kind of, as the time goes, as you see that it's not doing something that it should be doing, tell it to memorize. Right? Start constructing that knowledge base. And then you give it to your C-level and say, okay, so give it to your executive in your company, and then you say, it was nice knowing you. I assume that I'm not needed anymore, right? I'm exaggerating. I don't believe that at all, but yeah.
Well, if anything, what you were saying there, I think is key, is we've always talked about having great business requirements documents. I remember being at clients, there would be teams of people cranking out reams of paper week after week after week. And now we actually have a living, breathing document in a markdown file, or should have a living, breathing document in a markdown file, that as we make changes to that, the agents wake up and do their thing.
Yeah. You still it cannot be unsupervised. We're not there yet.
Well, humans aren't unsupervised today. Think about how many managers are in companies that do nothing but supervise people.
Exactly.
So we still have to, somebody has to manage that. So I guess that's what those of us that are at the bottom of the food chain that are actually hands-on keyboard now are hands-on keyboard directing the agents. And we're in a more managery role than actually doing the work. Because again, in the couple of use cases I've done with this, it's like, as much as I wanted to go in and write the changes that I knew that I wanted, I chose not to. And instead told Claude Code to make the change.
Yes, exactly.
Now, if I would have had the init right, and this goes back to the Claude MD, knowing that, hey, look, if a variable isn't being used, mark it final. Or excuse me, if a variable isn't being mutated, mark it final. Yes. And there's other things that I'm learning. It's like, if there are any unused imports, get rid of them. Right? These kinds of things, if they're in that, I don't even have to set it up that way. It's just, that's the full context.
No, full transparency, it's not that it's working all the time.
No, you still have to check it.
Can easily forget, but that's where slash commands, and all other agents have something similar, come in play. You can create one that has, 17 rules. Among one of them, check finals, right? And if it forgets, you can just say, okay, when I'm finished, I execute this command that will go through the checklist, which is probably what you would do as a human as well, right? You have some kind of checklist in your head or in paper or whatever. You have a checklist. So create a checklist. Okay, we're done. Go through all the stuff over there.
Yeah. And the key part to that is it's doing what the human should be doing. And in theory, the machine is going to do it more consistently than the human.
Yes.
Isn't that what we all want? We want the machine to do our work for us. We shouldn't be scared of the machine, but we should also have, I don't want to use this word. I'm going to use it for the moment, respect for the machine. Because if we don't give it enough context, just like we didn't give a newbie on the team context, we can't expect good output.
Even if you think of context as and prompts being code, imagine that prompts are code and context is a prompt, essentially, right? So imagine that's code, right? Then actually it's the same story, right? Oh, if your code is not detailed enough, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, right? If you didn't contemplate all the different conditions that might happen, your code will not do what you wanted it to do, correct?
Correct.
Same thing goes with prompts, with vibe coding, right? Yeah, if you're not detailed enough, if you say just, make it work, it will make it somehow, something, who knows, work, right? The deeper you go, the better it will do.
And if it's all written down and archived, for lack of a better term, in a file or whatever system you're using, however that memory is, it'll just do it over and over and over again. And when you get a new feature request in, will the agent be able to do it? Don't know. But I can guarantee you that the stack of close it out, for lack of a better name, where it does all the things and making sure that all those things always happen no matter what, man, that's amazing.
What makes me very excited is actually the upcoming startup scene. So how did it work before, right? Let's say two of us, right? Usually very small number of people. We have this idea, we want to create a startup, right? Soon after, maybe you reach the point that you have 10K in yearly revenue. If you're very lucky, most likely you have minus 50K in yearly revenue, right? That's how it works. And then what do? You ask for VC to get another 5 people, because you cannot do, 2 of you cannot do anything. You need 5 more. And you're still losing money. And then you get 10 more. And maybe when you reach like 50 people, you start churning some positive revenue. And that's if you're extremely good, extremely lucky, which in startup scene still does not happen. I believe that we are going to see startups that start getting real revenue with 2 people. They will need to expand. I'm not saying, 2 people will reach $1 billion revenue with 2 people. I'm not saying that, just to be clear. But hey, we can get very, very far. And especially in the future, things will improve. We can get very, very far, 2 of us only.
I mean, there are the predictions that, at some point there will be a one-person billion-dollar company.
I would not discard it, yes.
I think it's possible, but that's not $1 billion in profit. That's $1 billion in revenue.
Fair enough.
And it may cost $5 billion in operations to get to that $1 billion.
No, but the problem with startups is that, you at one point you start earning money. But what do you have? 10 people, 50 people? How much is that a year?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Let's say 50 people. And let me be as pessimistic as you can get. Kind of, we're neither in States nor somewhere else. Let's say Europe. That's what, 100K per person. And I'm being very, very kind of...
It makes the math easy.
Makes it easy. That's 50 times 100K. That's 5 million. 5 million in cost, not counting everything else.
Right.
Let's say we reach 7. Now I can be on 2.
Yeah.
Plus the 2 of us. So let's say that I'm on 2.5 million costs, which is a huge difference compared to 7.
Well, and the other thing too with the humans, we're recording this July 2nd of 2025. In the Northern Hemisphere, sorry, European people, basically you just got back from your June vacation and you're getting ready to go on your August vacation. Excuse me.
Exactly.
You went on your June vacation, now you're getting ready to go on your August holiday. I think that's the proper way to say it. That's impacting. Whereas with agents, in theory, they work 24/7, which is what our executives want us to do anyway.
Not yet. Not
yet, but close.
We need to get to unsupervised mode for that to happen, but we'll get there.
It's close. It's close. But again, it goes back, I think it rewinds back to what are the managerial instructions? What are the business instructions? If those can be captured in words and thrown in a markdown file, the sooner I'm going to say, continue saying the sooner we can do that, the faster we're going to get to that point to where things are just working all the time. And the request for, hey, I need that new Mac Studio that's got 128 gig in it that cost $8,000. I need that. Okay, great, because $8,000 is going to be cheap.
Going back to, and I mentioned a couple of times in other episodes, to your Jenkins issues. Imagine 100 issues, just kind of like fix all of them in separate PRs in containers. It's not going to work, but it's going to get you 60% there. And I'm being very pessimistic now.
If it even got you 40% of the way there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, while we are talking, you could have had 40% of 100 issues solved while we are doing this conversation. Not 100% of those issues. You said it, 40%.
Yeah.
And then what you would do? Would you be solving 60%? No. What you would do is go back to those issues, check one, that can take time, write the additional instructions in a comment, and then let it work, go to the next one. Check it, additional instructions, go to the third one.
Let me ask this question. This is an existential threat, I think, but it's not at the same time. Did we ever really want to write code? As a human, did we ever really want to write code?
Now you're touching on a subject. When I start speaking about it, I think that I make quite a few people mad. I think that good coders are not people who spend majority of their time writing code. I think that good developers are people who spend majority of time designing, figuring out, and doing all sorts of activities. And then writing code is just chore. I definitely feel like writing code is chore. What I really want to do is, okay, how can I do this? What should be the flow? What should be the design? And so on and so forth, right? And I'm talking about new features now, not necessarily fixing issues, which is a separate discussion, but that's where I want to spend my time. That's the part I truly enjoy. I don't enjoy writing infinite number of lines of code. I mean, I'm not miserable doing it, just to be clear. But I'm more happy trying to figure out what should be done, how it should be done, why it should be done, what is the architecture. And I feel that that's the real job of a developer. Like, okay, let's change the subject. Let's say that you're a writer, you're a book author. What do you think is the primarily job of a book author? To write the words of the book, or to figure out the story, to figure out the details, to figure out the flow of the book, and so on and so forth?
It's the world creation.
Exactly.
You have to understand. It's like the sitting down in front of a typewriter. Yes, I'm said typewriter, not a computer. To write out your words, or you're using a yellow legal pad to actually write out your words, literally. That's chore. I'll use your word. That's a chore.
Yeah.
But I can't start doing that. And this is where people, I'm glad you used book author. This is where you have the white sheet syndrome. You're looking at a blank page. It's like, what do I do? And if you hadn't done the world creation first, you'll be stuck on that white page. But
Yes.
if you've done the world creation, you may still look at it, but at least you'll be able to get some stuff in. And then guess what? You edit, and that doesn't go away. You're not going to get it out right the first time. Just like I have been massaging both Cursor and Claude to give me what I want, that's never going to change until it does. I think it will change at some point.
Yeah, but that's precisely. With the change that I know book authors that stare at the blank page of the second chapter as well, just to be clear.
Yeah. Yeah, not just the first, but it's every chapter. It's like, what do I do now?
Yeah. You have general idea. This is the general story. And then you narrow it down to a chapter or whatever. And you still need to figure out within the broader context what's the second one. And then you stop the chore and repeat the process.
So listening to this, I'm going to send this down and we're going to wrap here in just a minute. What I'm hearing, and probably incorrectly, is that Agile is dead and waterfall is the new way in this agentic world.
No, quite the opposite, I think.
Really?
Yes.
All the heavy documentation and getting all of that right first before you have the agents do the work?
No, so I mentioned previous episodes, maybe 3 episodes before, that if you remember that I'm on a 3rd or 4th or 5th iteration of a project that I'm working on right now. If you remember when I was saying, hey, imagine that you worked on a first iteration for a month and realized that it's wrong. I cannot figure out, it doesn't matter whether we're using AI or no, I cannot figure out everything from scratch. I'm not going to build that world from the first go. I'm going to build a world, and then I'm going to modify the world, and I'm going to modify the world again. And eventually, by the end of writing that book, the world will be fully complete. There is work that you do in advance, but there is a lot of iterations. That's in a way closer to Agile than Waterfall, right? With the major difference is that everything is so much faster. I could do the first week's worth of iteration in 2 days. Okay, so general idea, mostly okay. Implementation, 70% I don't like it. It's wrong direction. Let's start over.
Okay, so let me rephrase again. Design is even more important than it's ever been before.
But it can be emergent.
Yes, it can be emergent.
It can be iterative. You don't have to come with the final design. I mean, nobody can come up with the final design of every single detail. Doesn't matter whether we use AI, we don't use AI. Whomever says that I can do the final design before writing a single line of code, no matter how I do it, that person is lying to you or is willing to accept failure at the end. One of the two. Design emerges. It's iterative.
Well, we've been all over the place yet again. Will we revisit this? Probably. When? Not sure. But for now, what do you think? Head over to the Slack workspace, look over in the podcast channel for episode 315, and leave your comments there. We hope this episode was helpful to you. If you want to discuss it or ask a question, please reach out to us. Our contact information and a link to the Slack workspace are at devopsparadox.com/contact. If you subscribe through Apple Podcast, be sure to leave us a review there. That helps other people discover this podcast. Go sign up right now at devopsparadox.com to receive an email whenever we drop the latest episode. Thank you for listening to DevOps Paradox.